Your heart is pounding before you even walk into the room. That difficult conversation with your boss looms, a knot of dread tightening in your stomach. We have all faced moments where the world feels too loud, too demanding, and our own confidence seems to vanish. What if the key to not just surviving these moments, but truly thriving within them, was written down 2,000 years ago by a Roman philosopher? His name is Seneca, and he was less of a dusty academic and more of the ultimate life coach for the soul. We are about to uncover 25 of his most powerful lessons, a complete blueprint for forging an unshakable inner strength. This is not about positive thinking. It is a practical system that will fundamentally rewire your reactions to stress, build a core of resilience that nothing can crack, and in doing so, make you a magnet for positive relationships and genuine opportunities. How did a man from the chaos of ancient Rome find a path to such profound personal power? Seneca's first and most crucial lesson cuts straight to the heart of our daily struggles. He insists we must ruthlessly separate everything in our lives into two simple categories: what is within our power and what is not. Think of the last time you felt truly overwhelmed. Chances are your frustration was fueled by fighting something you ultimately could not command. You cannot control the sudden downpour that ruins your outdoor plans. You cannot control the reckless driver who cuts you off in traffic. You cannot control the harsh words a colleague might speak. These events are external. They belong to the realm of fortune, and Seneca calls them indifferent. They are not good or bad in themselves, only our judgment makes them so. The real source of our anxiety and suffering is not the traffic jam itself, but our white-knuckled grip on the steering wheel, our fuming anger at the situation, our desperate wish that reality were different. This is the exhausting, futile battle of trying to command the uncontrollable. So where does our true power lie? It resides entirely within our own mind. Our power is in our deliberate judgments, the values we choose to uphold, and the actions we decide to take. You cannot control the rain, but you can control whether you let it ruin your mood. You can choose to see it as an opportunity to enjoy a cozy afternoon indoors instead. You cannot control the rude driver, but you can control your reaction, taking a deep breath and refusing to let their negativity become your own. This mental shift is not a passive surrender. It is the most active and empowering choice you can make. It is the foundational step to building resilience, because when you stop wasting energy on what you cannot change, you unlock a tremendous reserve of focus for what you can, your own character, your own responses, your own life. This is the bedrock of inner strength. This mental shift begins with a simple nightly ritual, a practice Seneca himself would have recognized. Find a quiet moment before you sleep and take out a notebook. Draw a line down the center of a blank page, on the left, right, outside my control, on the right, right within my control. Now replay your day, that frustrating email from a client, put it on the left. Your anxiety about an upcoming presentation, place that on the left as well, because the event itself is in the future. But your decision to prepare thoroughly for that presentation, that belongs on the right. The rude comment from a stranger, left. Your choice to not engage in an argument and to instead walk away with your peace intact, right. At first, this might feel awkward, even trivial. You are simply moving words from one column to another, but something profound happens with consistent practice. You are training your brain to perform a fundamental diagnostic, a sort of mental triage. You are building a neural pathway that automatically asks, where does my true power lie here? Think of yourself as the captain of a ship. You have absolutely no command over the wind or the waves. A storm may rage or the sea may become eerily calm, leaving you stranded. These are the entries in your left-hand column, the external conditions of your life. But as captain, your power is absolute when it comes to adjusting the sails, steering the rudder, and plotting your course. These are the choices in your right-hand column, your judgments and your actions. The storm is not your failure, but failing to adjust your sails is. This daily journaling is how you stop staring hopelessly at the storm and start mastering your ship. Over weeks and months, this exercise rewires your default reactions. The brain stops its frantic scrambling to control the uncontrollable and begins to conserve its energy for what truly matters, your own response. The trigger of a traffic jam no longer sparks a surge of rage, but a calm acknowledgement and a decision to listen to an audiobook. The criticism from a boss shifts from a personal catastrophe to an external event you can choose to learn from or disregard. This is the birth of genuine resilience, not as an abstract idea, but as a lived daily reality. You are no longer a passenger battered by fortune, but the captain steadily navigating any sea. And this calm command at your core is the very quality that begins to draw others toward you, creating a presence that feels both strong and deeply attractive. This practice of mental separation leads directly to a second, more visceral lesson from Seneca, one that asks you to willingly embrace discomfort. He advised setting aside a certain number of days to live on the scantiest and cheapest food, to wear coarse and simple clothing. At first glance, this sounds like a form of self-punishment, a strange kind of austerity, but its true purpose is far more profound. Seneca called this a vaccine for the soul. Just as a small, controlled dose of a virus trains your body to resist a full-blown illness, voluntarily experiencing small hardships immunizes your spirit against the sudden shocks of misfortune. The goal is to prove to yourself in your bones that you can endure much more than you think. It is about breaking the silent, desperate attachment to comfort that makes us so vulnerable to life's inevitable disruptions. When your identity is wrapped up in a luxurious car, a gourmet meal, or a perfectly controlled environment, the loss of any of those things feels like a personal catastrophe. Voluntary discomfort shatters that illusion. It reveals that your core self, your inner strength, remains completely intact even when your external conditions are less than ideal. So what does this look like in our modern world? It is taking a cold shower when a warm one is readily available. It is fasting for a day to rediscover the simple gift of a single meal. It could be leaving your smartphone at home for a weekend and using a basic model, reconnecting with the world directly instead of through a screen. It is choosing public transport over your car, not for the savings, but for the experience of navigating the world without your usual bubble of privacy and control. Each of these acts is a small, deliberate rebellion against the expectation of constant ease. The magic happens in the aftermath. When you step out of that cold shower, you do not just feel awake, you feel victorious. You have faced a minor adversity and emerged unscathed, even empowered. When you break that fast, the simplest food tastes like a feast, and a deep, genuine gratitude for what you normally take for granted washes over you. This is not about cultivating a life of deprivation. It is about inoculating yourself against the fear of it. By regularly proving to yourself that you can handle lack, you drain the future of its power to frighten you. The potential job loss, the financial setback, the unexpected inconvenience, they all lose their sting because you carry within you the unshakable knowledge that you are tougher than your circumstances. This is the raw material of inner strength, forged not in theory, but in the deliberate, chosen chill of the water and the conscious embrace of the simple life. And this quiet confidence, this freedom from the fear of loss, is a form of attraction that runs deeper than any surface charm. This deliberate embrace of hardship sharpens your perspective, forcing a profound question: what is the one resource you can never get back? Seneca confronts this directly in his essay on the shortness of life with a startling claim. He says life is long enough if you know how to use it. We often feel a deep sense of time slipping away, a quiet panic that there is never enough. Yet Seneca observed that people are intensely protective of their material possessions. They would be outraged if a thief stole a few dollars from their wallet, but they allow hours, days, even years to be stolen from their lives without a second thought. How does this happen? We are the thieves of our own time. We squander it on three grand trivialities. First, the endless scroll through social media, a digital vortex that consumes fragments of your day which, added together, amount to months of your life. Second, the mental energy spent complaining about circumstances or people we cannot change, a futile exercise that only drains the present moment of its potential. And third, perhaps the most costly, worrying about future events that are entirely outside our control, living in a state of anxious anticipation for a tomorrow that has not yet arrived. This is how a life that could be long and rich is made tragically short. So how do you reclaim your most precious asset? Begin with a time audit. For 3 days, carry a small notebook or use a notes app on your phone and track your hours with ruthless honesty. Do not judge, just observe. You might discover that you spend 10 hours a week on passive entertainment, 5 hours on gossip and complaints, and another 5 lost to anxious fretting. That is 20 hours, 20 hours. Now, imagine reallocating just half of that reclaimed time. 10 hours a week dedicated to a skill you have always wanted to learn, to reading philosophy that strengthens your mind, to physical exercise that builds your vitality, or to deep, uninterrupted connection with the people you love. This is not about filling every second with productivity. It is about intentionality. It is about choosing how your life is spent rather than wondering where it went. When you invest your time in building your character and your capabilities, you undergo a fundamental transformation. You are no longer someone who is simply passing the hours. You become a person of substance, of depth, of quiet competence, and that substance, that sense of a life being lived fully and on purpose, is irresistibly attractive. It draws people and opportunities to you not because you are trying to be attractive, but because you have become someone genuinely worth being around. When you become the guardian of your own time, you start to notice the frantic noise within. A mind that is constantly reaching outward for its next fix of validation is like a ship with a dozen different captains, each shouting a new course. One moment you are thrown into despair by a critical comment online. The next, you are inflated with a fleeting sense of worth from a dozen likes. Your emotional state becomes a puppet, and the world holds all the strings. Seneca offers a radical alternative. He said the greatest empire is to be emperor of oneself. This is not about controlling others. It is about achieving a sovereign peace within your own mind, a quiet command center that remains unshaken by the external storms of praise or blame. Imagine the difference between a leaf tossed in a hurricane and a deep-rooted oak in the same storm. The leaf is at the mercy of every gust flung in any direction. The oak feels the same wind, it sways, but its core remains anchored, its identity intact. The goal of Stoicism is to build that oak inside of you. How do you cultivate this inner empire? One of the most powerful techniques is negative visualization, or what the Stoics called premeditatio malorum. This is the deliberate practice of imagining the loss of the things you cherish. It sounds counterintuitive, even morbid. Why would you willingly think about losing your job, your health, or a loved one? The purpose is twofold, and it is profoundly liberating. First, it inoculates you against the shock of misfortune. By mentally rehearsing a potential loss, you strip the future event of its element of surprise and its power to devastate. You are not inviting the event to happen. You are building a psychological immune system so that if difficulty does arrive, you have already walked the path of coping in your mind and you are not starting from zero. Second, and perhaps more beautifully, this practice ignites a fierce and immediate gratitude for what you have right now. As you picture your life without your comfortable home, you open your eyes and the walls around you feel like a gift. You imagine losing the ability to walk, and the simple act of taking a step becomes a miracle. This is not a practice of fear, it is a practice of deep, present moment appreciation. It transforms ordinary life into a continuous feast. The second daily practice for building this inner empire is the evening review. Seneca himself ended his days with this ritual. In the quiet of the evening, ask yourself 3 simple questions. Where did I let external things disturb my peace today? Did my actions align with my deepest values? What could I do better tomorrow? This is not a session of self-condemnation. It is a gentle, honest audit of your own governance. Perhaps you lost your temper in traffic. Acknowledge it without drama and simply resolve to take a deeper breath next time. Maybe you avoided a difficult but necessary conversation. Note the lapse in courage and plan to approach it with more integrity. This nightly review is how you gently correct the ship's course day by day. It is the quiet work of an emperor tending to their domain, ensuring that tomorrow your mind is a little more peaceful, a little more your own. This nightly review of your inner empire reveals a crucial truth, that peace is not built on thoughts alone, but on the bedrock of your actions. Seneca draws a sharp line between the philosopher who speaks eloquently about virtue and the one who actually lives it. He warns that a person who talks about the path but does not walk it is no different from a book, full of words but incapable of action. Your character, the very essence of your inner strength and your power to attract, is not defined by what you say you believe. It is defined irrevocably by what you consistently do. For the Stoic, philosophy is not an intellectual hobby to be debated over dinner. It is a daily, practical discipline. It is the art of living well, and that art is performed through your choices, your behaviors, and your unwavering integrity in the smallest of moments. Imagine 2 people. One speaks passionately about fairness and justice, about the importance of rules and order. Then you see them at the coffee shop, glancing around before deliberately stepping in front of others in the line. In that single, silent action, every eloquent word they ever spoke about fairness evaporates. Their attractiveness, the trust we place in them, plummets instantly. We are not drawn to their ideals, we are repelled by their hypocrisy. Now picture another person who may not talk much about their principles at all. But they are the one who quietly returns the extra change a cashier accidentally gave them. They are the one who shows up on time every time because they value your time as much as their own. They follow through on their promises even when it becomes inconvenient. We are magnetically drawn to this person. We feel a deep, instinctual trust in their presence. We call them reliable, consistent, and genuinely good. This is not charisma, it is character in motion. This alignment between word and deed is the most powerful form of attraction there is. To cultivate this, perform a simple integrity check each night, right alongside your review of the day. Ask yourself one piercing question: did my actions today align with my stated values? Be ruthlessly honest. Did I speak with patience when I felt the urge to snap? Did I act with courage when I felt the pull of fear? Did I choose generosity when my first instinct was to be selfish? This is not about achieving perfection. It is about holding up a mirror to your soul and acknowledging the gaps. Every time you consciously choose an action that matches your principle, you are not just doing a good deed. You are chiseling your character out of solid stone. You are building a reputation with yourself, and that self-trust becomes the foundation for an unshakable confidence. People may not be able to articulate why they feel so drawn to you, but they will sense the solid ground beneath your feet. They will feel the rare and powerful comfort of someone who is exactly who they claim to be. This integrity between word and action prepares you for the most demanding test of all, the sudden appearance of an obstacle. Seneca offers a stunning reframing of hardship, a concept so powerful it would later inspire the phrase, "The obstacle is the way." He insisted that every difficulty, every insult, every setback you face is not a barrier to your path, but the very path itself. It is a training ground deliberately placed before you to develop a specific virtue you lack. An insult is not a wound to your pride, it is a drill for practicing patience and forgiveness. A financial loss is not a catastrophe, it is a lesson in detachment and resourcefulness. A physical limitation is not a curse, it is a masterclass in courage and endurance. The obstacle is not something to be avoided or cursed, it is the raw material for building a stronger you. Consider the modern scenario of being passed over for a promotion. The conventional and utterly disempowering reaction is to see it as a personal failure, a verdict on your worth. You might succumb to bitterness, complain about office politics, or quietly despair. This is the response of a victim, and it makes you less attractive to everyone around you, especially future employers who can sense that resentment. Now apply the Stoic lens. This rejection is not a stop sign, it is a training ground. It is an opportunity to practice resilience, to bounce back with even greater determination. It is a chance to re-evaluate your skills with brutal honesty, to identify the gaps you need to fill to become truly indispensable. And most importantly, it is a moment to demonstrate grace under pressure. How do you carry yourself in the days that follow? Do you gossip and sulk, or do you congratulate the person who got the role and recommit to your work with even more focus and professionalism? That graceful response, that quiet display of inner strength, is often more impressive to leadership than the promotion itself. It signals a maturity and resilience that every organization craves. It makes you magnetic. This mindset flips the entire script of your life. You stop seeing yourself as a passive victim of circumstance, buffeted by random misfortunes. You begin to see yourself as an active agent, an alchemist whose sole job is to take the base metal of any obstacle and transmute it into the gold of wisdom, strength, and character. The world does not happen to you, it happens for your training. This relentless pursuit of more is a hunger that can never be satisfied. Seneca pinpointed this as the core of our unhappiness, declaring that true wealth is not in having great possessions but in having few wants. The endless chase for a larger salary, a newer car, or more social media followers is not a path to fulfillment. It is a treadmill, and with every step you take, the finish line moves further away. This external grasping fundamentally weakens your inner fortitude. Your sense of worth becomes tied to things you do not fully control, leaving you perpetually anxious, perpetually dissatisfied, and perpetually needy. The Stoic alternative is a radical simplification of desire. It is not about embracing poverty, but about finding profound contentment in what is necessary and what is virtuous. Imagine two people at a social gathering. One is constantly glancing around, subtly seeking approval, dropping names, and visibly brightening with every compliment. Their energy is scattered, their presence feels thin, like they are a guest in their own life, waiting for someone else to make them feel welcome. Now consider the other person who is simply present. They are not dressed to impress, but they are comfortable in their own skin. They listen more than they speak, not out of shyness, but out of genuine curiosity. They do not need your validation because they are already full. Which person are you more drawn to? The one who is desperately collecting social currency, or the one who is already rich in themselves? This is the magnetic power of self-sufficiency. When you limit your desires to what is essential, you declare a profound independence from the world's opinion. You are no longer a puppet whose strings are pulled by advertisements, trends, or the fear of missing out. Your confidence stops being a fluctuating variable and becomes a constant state. This is not the boastful confidence of someone who has everything, but the quiet, unshakable confidence of someone who needs very little. This person radiates a freedom that is irresistibly attractive because it is so rare. They are not trying to attract anyone, and that is precisely why they do. They are a source of calm, not a drain on your energy. They offer connection, not transaction. This is the true wealth Seneca promises, a fortune that no market crash can diminish and no thief can steal, built not in your bank account, but in the quiet, contented chambers of your own mind. This practice of negative visualization, which we touched on as a tool for inner governance, is far more than a mental exercise. It is a deliberate drill for the soul, conducted in the calmest of seas. Seneca urged his followers to regularly set aside time to contemplate the loss of everything they held dear. Picture yourself sitting in quiet reflection, and then consciously bringing to mind the possibility of losing your health, your financial security, or the people you love most. This is not a descent into pessimism. It is a strategic rehearsal for reality. The psychological mechanism at work is brilliant in its simplicity. When you vividly imagine a feared event, you are essentially creating a memory of it. Your brain processes the detailed scenario, the accompanying emotions, and your chosen response. Then, if that event ever does occur in real life, it does not arrive as a total stranger, a shocking ambush that shatters your world. It arrives as something familiar, something you have already faced and survived in the theater of your mind. You have already walked that dark path and know the way out. You have robbed misfortune of its greatest weapon, the element of surprise. Think of a fire drill. No one conducts a fire drill because they want the building to burn down. They do it so that if the alarm ever sounds, panic is replaced by practiced, purposeful action. Your mind knows the procedure. Negative visualization is a fire drill for your entire life. The immediate and perhaps more beautiful benefit of this practice is the torrent of gratitude it unleashes. As you mentally say goodbye to your comfortable home, you open your eyes and the roof over your head transforms from a mundane fact into an active blessing. You imagine the silence of losing a loved one's voice, and the next time you hear it, the sound is imbued with a precious, fleeting quality that makes you truly listen. This is how you turn an ordinary Tuesday into a gift. You are not taking anything for granted. This emotional preparedness forges a composure that is unbreakable. A crisis does not create your character, it reveals it. And if you have spent years rehearsing for difficulty, what is revealed is not a frantic, desperate person, but a calm, resilient one. This is the ultimate inner strength, the ability to look directly at the possibility of loss without flinching, and in doing so, to fall more deeply in love with the fragile, magnificent present you currently inhabit. That composure you build through mental rehearsal must be protected, for it is shaped by the company you keep. Seneca issued a stark warning about the corrupting influence of bad company, urging us to associate only with those who will make a better person of us and to welcome those we ourselves can improve. This is not a call for snobbery, but for strategic self-preservation. The people you allow into your inner circle are not passive bystanders in your life. They are the quiet architects of your habits, the subtle sculptors of your mindset. Their attitudes are contagious, their values infectious. Spend your evenings with colleagues who constantly complain and gossip, and you will soon find your own thoughts spiraling into the same patterns of negativity. Surround yourself with those who prioritize shallow entertainment and instant gratification, and your own capacity for deep, focused work will begin to erode. Your character is not built in a vacuum, it is forged in the constant, gentle friction of your daily interactions. This is why Seneca frames it as a two-way street of mutual elevation. It is not about finding perfect people, but about seeking out relationships where there is a shared commitment to growth. You are drawn to someone whose discipline and integrity inspire you to be more disciplined and honest. And in return, your own developing strength and clarity might help them see a path through their own challenges. This reciprocal pull upwards is one of the most powerful drivers of personal growth there is. It creates a virtuous cycle where everyone involved becomes a better version of themselves. So how do you apply this? Perform a social circle audit. Take a quiet moment to list the 5 people you spend the most time with. Now assess them not as friends or family, but as influences. Does their presence in your life elevate you? Do their conversations challenge you to think more deeply? Do their actions inspire you to live more virtuously? If you find that certain relationships consistently drain your energy, encourage your vices, or pull you away from your values, it is time to create some compassionate distance. This does not mean a dramatic confrontation. It often means simply choosing to spend more of your finite time and energy elsewhere. Consciously seek out and invest in people who embody the resilience, the wisdom, and the quiet strength you wish to cultivate. Join a book club focused on philosophy, volunteer for a cause that demands discipline, or simply make a point of having one deep conversation a week with someone you admire. The magnetic attraction of this is undeniable. When you become a person committed to growth, you naturally attract other growth-minded individuals. Your social circle transforms from a source of distraction into an ecosystem of mutual empowerment, a living environment where your inner strength is not just protected, but actively strengthened every single day. Your words are a precious currency, and every time you speak, you are spending them. Seneca sharpens this point into a life-changing lesson, urging us to speak only when our words are an improvement on silence. This is not about being quiet out of shyness. It is about the immense power of strategic restraint. Think of the last conversation you were in where someone dominated the discussion with gossip, empty complaints, or boasts that felt hollow. How did you perceive that person? Their constant noise likely revealed a deep insecurity, a need to fill the air to feel significant. It drained your energy and eroded your trust in their judgment. Careless speech does exactly that. It weakens your inner fortress from the inside out. It wastes your mental energy on trivialities, damages the bridges of your relationships with the acid of gossip, and projects a self that is scattered and unsure. Now picture the person in the same room who listens more than they speak. When they finally offer a thought, it is considered kind and purposeful. The entire room leans in slightly. Their words carry weight because they are not diluted by 1,000 unimportant ones. This is the magnetic power of self-control in communication. It signals a mind that is at peace with itself, a person so secure in their own worth that they do not need constant external validation. To cultivate this, introduce a brief pause before you speak. In that sliver of a second, ask yourself 3 silent questions. Is what I am about to say true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? This simple filter transforms your communication from a reactive spilling of thoughts into a deliberate act of connection. You will find yourself speaking less, but your words will land with far greater impact. People will begin to trust your speech implicitly, knowing that when you open your mouth, something of value will emerge. This quiet authority, born from the strength to hold your tongue, makes your presence a gift in any room. That fortress of inner strength is built on a foundation most of us spend our lives trying to ignore. Seneca challenges us with a practice that seems starkly counterintuitive: to remember that you must die. This is the Stoic concept of memento mori, a Latin phrase meaning remember you are mortal. At first glance, this sounds morbid, even depressive. Why would anyone want to dwell on such a grim thought? But for the Stoic, this is not a morbid fixation. It is the ultimate liberation. Seneca put it with breathtaking clarity: he who has learned to die has unlearned how to be a slave. What are we slaves to? We are slaves to the petty opinions of others, to the desperate need for social validation, to the endless postponement of our dreams, telling ourselves we will start that business, repair that relationship, or learn that instrument someday when the conditions are perfect. The constant, gentle awareness of your mortality shatters these chains. It acts as a ruthless editor for your life. Imagine you received a letter today, a diagnosis that gave you 1 year left to live. Instantly, the trivial would fall away. The rude comment from a coworker would become a meaningless speck of dust. The desire to impress your neighbors with a new car would vanish into absurdity. Your focus would snap into a laser beam on what truly matters: the people you love, the work that fulfills you, the legacy you wish to leave behind. This is the power of memento mori. It is not about having 1 year to live, but about living the 1 year you have with that same fierce, clear-eyed priority. It infuses every ordinary Tuesday with a sense of precious urgency. You stop wasting your mornings scrolling through social media because you are acutely aware that this morning is one of a finite number you will ever get. You find the courage to have that difficult conversation because the risk of temporary awkwardness is nothing compared to the regret of words left unspoken. You let go of old grudges not because the other person deserves forgiveness, but because you deserve the peace of carrying that heavy weight no longer. This awareness breeds a radical form of authenticity. When you know your time is limited, you stop performing a version of yourself designed for mass approval. You start living as the person you truly are, guided by your own values, not the fickle trends of the crowd. This is the profound and attractive courage that Seneca describes. People are not drawn to the person who is trying to be liked. They are drawn to the person who is too busy living authentically to care. This constant focus on your own mortality sharpens your attention to a single, vital target: yourself. The 12th lesson from Seneca is a masterstroke of social and psychological efficiency. Judge yourself, not others. He insists we must turn the gaze inward, working to correct our own faults instead of wasting precious energy as a critic in the theater of other people's lives. Think about the last time you felt a surge of judgment toward someone. Perhaps you saw a parent struggling with a child in a supermarket and thought, "I would never handle it that way." Or you listened to a colleague present an idea and immediately focused on its flaws. In that moment of outward criticism, where is your power? It is completely externalized, tied up in a person or a situation you cannot control. This habit of judgment is a subtle trap. It often masquerades as superiority, but its roots almost always tap into our own deep-seated insecurities. We point out another's laziness because we are secretly afraid of our own procrastination. We mock someone's flamboyant style because we lack the courage to express our own uniqueness. Judgment is a defense mechanism, a way to subconsciously say, "Look at their flaws so you do not have to look at mine." It is an exhausting, full-time job that builds nothing within us. Inner strength demands the opposite movement. It requires you to take full and sole responsibility for your own progress on the path of virtue. When you witness a fault in another person, Seneca advises using it as a mirror, not a microscope. Let that person's tardiness remind you to cultivate your own punctuality. Let their gossip prompt you to check your own speech for kindness. This is not about absorbing their negativity, but about using their example as a spur for your own growth. The person who is diligently focused on self-improvement radiates a quiet confidence that is impossible to fake. They are too busy building their own character to keep a tally of everyone else's shortcomings. This makes them profoundly pleasant to be around. There is no silent judgment in their presence, only a calm acceptance that allows others to let their guard down and be themselves. This safety is magnetic. People are instinctively drawn to those who offer a judgment-free space because it is so incredibly rare. Your social attraction multiplies not because you are perfect, but because you are far too interested in your own journey to be bothered with criticizing theirs. This radical self-judgment clears the way for an even more profound shift, a complete and loving surrender to the path your life has taken. The 13th lesson from Seneca is a breathtaking command: embrace your fate with a love so deep it transforms every hardship into a blessing. He did not just preach this idea, he lived it. When a political conspiracy led to his unjust exile on the barren island of Corsica, he could have crumbled into bitterness. He was ripped from the intellectual heart of Rome and thrown into what many would see as a cultural desert. Yet Seneca did not merely endure those years, he flourished within them. He used the isolation, the silence, and the starkness of his environment to produce some of his most powerful philosophical writings. He saw his exile not as a punishment, but as a necessary chapter in his soul's education. This is the essence of amor fati, a Latin phrase that means a love of one's fate. It goes far beyond Stoic acceptance. Acceptance can sometimes carry a quiet note of resignation, a sense of putting up with something you wish were different. Amor fati is an active, passionate embrace. It is looking at every single event in your life, the joyous and the devastating, and saying not I can handle this, but I would not have it any other way, for this is what made me. Think of a piece of coal buried deep within the earth. From its perspective, the immense pressure and the scorching heat could be interpreted as pure torture, a cruel and meaningless suffering. But the coal that loves its fate understands that this very pressure, this very heat, is the indispensable process that will transform it into a diamond. The hardship is not an obstacle to its purpose, it is the very mechanism of its becoming. Now bring this into your own life, that painful breakup you never saw coming. The job application that was rejected after 5 rounds of interviews, the sudden illness that forced your life to a halt. The conventional mind sees these as failures, as tragedies, as evidence that the universe is against you. The mind trained in amor fati asks a different question entirely. How is this event, however painful, the very pressure I need to become stronger, wiser, more compassionate? That breakup, though agonizing, might have been the necessary catalyst to force you to rediscover your own identity outside of a relationship. That job rejection might have closed a door that would have trapped you in a career you were not meant for, freeing you to find your true calling. The illness, while a brutal teacher, might have reordered your priorities, teaching you the profound value of health and presence in a way a life of easy comfort never could. This is not about pretending the pain does not exist. It is about reframing its role in your story from that of a villain to that of a demanding, but ultimately loyal, coach. This radical reframing is the pinnacle of inner strength. It means you are never a victim of your circumstances ever again. Your life becomes a coherent narrative where every chapter, even the darkest ones, contributes to the person you are becoming. And this creates an aura of grace that is utterly irresistible. People are magnetically drawn to those who carry their scars not as wounds, but as evidence of their transformation. They radiate a quiet certainty that no storm can break them because they have learned to love the rain. Your character is carved not in grand declarations, but in the quiet minutes that bookend your day. Seneca understood that a soul left to wander without a compass will drift with every passing wind, so he prescribed a simple yet profound discipline, a morning and evening ritual to act as that anchor. The day begins not with a frantic reach for your phone, but with a moment of deliberate silence. Before the world's demands crash in, you sit and you set your intention. This is not a to-do list for your actions, but for your character. You ask yourself, what virtue will I practice today? Perhaps it is patience in the face of delays or courage in speaking a difficult truth. Then you perform a mental rehearsal using the dichotomy of control as your guide. You envision the challenges likely to arise, the difficult colleague, the stressful commute, and you remind yourself, their mood is outside my control, but my calm and courteous response is entirely within it. This is how you armor your mind before the battle of the day even begins. As the sun sets and the world grows still, the second ritual commences. This is the evening review, a time for honest and gentle audit. You look back on the day's events and ask, where did I live up to my morning intention? Where did I fall short? Did I respond with patience when the project was delayed, or did I snap in frustration? There is no room for self-flagellation here, only for clear-eyed observation. You acknowledge the lapse without drama, you forgive yourself completely, and you resolve to do better tomorrow. Then you consciously release the day. You let go of every slight, every worry, every mistake, allowing your mind to become as clear and quiet as the night sky. These two daily bookends create a powerful structure for your inner growth. The morning ritual sets your course, and the evening ritual corrects it. Day after day, this consistent practice rewires your default reactions. You are no longer a ship tossed by the storms of daily irritation, but a vessel with a steady helm, guided by the stars of your own chosen virtues. This is how character is built, not in a single heroic moment, but in the cumulative power of thousands of small, conscious choices. And that deeply rooted, consistent character is the most magnetic force a person can possess. A fortress of character built through daily ritual creates a natural overflow, a quiet urge to give without keeping score. This brings us to the 15th and perhaps most counterintuitive lesson from Seneca, the command to practice generosity without any expectation of return. He wrote extensively on the art of giving and receiving, viewing it as the very glue that binds society. Yet his insight cuts directly against our modern, transactional mindset. The common approach to a favor is a subtle form of social accounting, a mental ledger where every gift given creates a debt to be collected. I helped you move, so you owe me a favor. I bought you lunch, so I expect you to listen to my problems. This tit-for-tat mentality does not build strong bonds. It builds fragile contracts, and contracts can be broken, disputed, or resented. Relationships built on this ledger are inherently weak and unattractive because everyone involved can feel the unspoken pressure of the debt. It feels less like friendship and more like commerce. The Stoic approach is a radical departure. For Seneca, the true joy of giving must be found entirely in the act itself. The moment the gift leaves your hand, your reward is already complete. You have performed a virtuous action, you have strengthened your own character by practicing kindness, and you have affirmed your own abundance. The other person's gratitude, their repayment, or even their acknowledgement is a bonus, not the goal. It belongs firmly in the column of things outside your control. Think of planting a seed in a garden. Your fulfillment comes from the act of planting, from tending to the soil with care and hope. You cannot control whether the seed germinates, whether it gets enough sun or rain. If you are only happy if the seed becomes a specific kind of flower, you have tied your happiness to 1,000 factors you do not command. But if your joy is in the planting itself, you are always fulfilled. This is the spirit of selfless generosity. It flows from a place of genuine inner abundance, the profound knowledge that you have enough to share, whether it is your time, your resources, or your compassion. This kind of giving is a powerful expression of inner strength. It broadcasts to the world that you are not needy. You are not giving to get something back, to manipulate, or to control. You are giving simply because it is good to give. This creates a magnetic social presence. People are instinctively drawn to those who offer help without strings attached, who celebrate without envy, and who listen without waiting for their turn to talk. This person becomes a focal point of positive social energy, not because they are collecting debts, but because they are radiating a secure and unconditional goodwill. Their strength is not in what they can take, but in what they can freely and joyfully give away. Generosity untethered from reward clears a stunning amount of mental clutter, and that space is exactly where the next transformation begins. Seneca saw luxury and complexity not as signs of success, but as chains on the soul. He warned that being encumbered by excessive possessions and commitments scatters our attention until we have none left for ourselves. Every object you own demands a sliver of your focus, from the time spent cleaning it to the mental energy spent worrying about its safety. Every non-essential commitment on your calendar, every social obligation you dread, drains a little more of your finite life force. This is not just a physical reality, it is a neurological one. A cluttered environment and a frantic schedule create a cluttered mind, a state of constant, low-level static that makes deep focus and clear thinking nearly impossible. Your mental energy is siphoned away by 1,000 tiny drains, leaving you depleted for the one thing that truly matters, the cultivation of your inner citadel. So how do you reclaim that energy? The process begins with a ruthless decluttering, but it must extend far beyond your closet. Start with the physical. Go through your home and ask of every item, does this serve a vital purpose or bring me genuine joy? Everything else is just background noise, visual static that dilutes your peace. Then move to the digital. Your phone is likely a vortex of distraction. Delete the social media apps that fuel comparison. Turn off non-essential notifications and reclaim your attention from the endless scroll. This creates pockets of silence in your day, moments where you can actually hear your own thoughts. Finally, and this is often the most difficult, declutter your social calendar. Audit your commitments with the same honesty you applied to your possessions. Which activities leave you feeling energized and aligned, and which leave you feeling drained and resentful? Learn to say no to the latter with a kind but firm grace. This is not about becoming a hermit, but about becoming intentional. The goal of this great simplification is to amplify your focus. When you strip away the non-essential, what remains is your core. You create the mental calm and spaciousness required to focus on what truly matters, your values, your growth, your inner strength. And when you are no longer hidden behind a wall of clutter and noise, your true self becomes more visible. This authenticity is profoundly attractive. People are drawn to those who are not performing, not managing a complicated facade, but who simply are solid and clear and fully present in the room. The same clarity you cultivate through simplicity is your greatest weapon when a flash of anger ignites within you. Seneca devoted an entire work to this single emotion, calling it a temporary madness. He did not claim that Stoics should be cold or emotionless. The goal is not to feel nothing, but to ensure your feelings do not become your master, especially when it comes to anger. Think of anger as a fire alarm blaring in the middle of the night. The weak, destructive response is to start screaming at the alarm for being too loud, or to run through the house in a blind panic, knocking over furniture. This is what most people do with their anger. They lash out at the person who triggered them. They send that furious email. They say the cruel thing they can never take back. They are fighting the alarm instead of the fire. The strong, stoic response is entirely different. When the alarm of anger sounds, you train yourself to freeze. You take a deliberate physical pause. You do not speak, you do not act, you simply breathe. In that sliver of space, you perform a rapid diagnostic. This anger is an alarm bell, so what is the fire? What core value of mine feels threatened? Your colleague took credit for your work. The alarm blares, signaling a violation of your value for fairness and recognition. Your partner made a major decision without consulting you. The alarm screams, signaling a threat to your value of partnership and respect. The emotion itself is not the problem, it is a crucial piece of data. The catastrophe begins when you let that data dictate your next move. Once you have identified the true value under threat, you shift from the emotional brain to the rational one. You ask, what is a virtuous and effective action here? An effective action is one that actually addresses the fire, not just makes a lot of noise. Screaming at your colleague might feel satisfying for a moment, but it will likely poison the work environment and damage your reputation. The virtuous and effective action might be to schedule a private meeting, state the facts calmly, and express how the situation made you feel, focusing on a solution that ensures proper credit moving forward. This response, born from a pause, is a breathtaking display of inner strength. It proves that you are not a puppet jerked around by your own neurotransmitters. You are the conscious operator who hears the alarm, assesses the threat, and chooses the right tool for the job. This emotional mastery is profoundly attractive. People are not scared of you, they are in awe of you. They trust you in a crisis. They know that when conflicts arise, you will not erupt, you will engage. You become a pillar of stability in a world full of people who are still screaming at the fire alarms. This expansive worldview is the natural evolution of inner strength. Seneca proposed a radical idea for his time, that our true citizenship is not to any single city or nation, but to the entire world itself. He saw humanity as a single, interconnected body, where an injury to one part is an injury to the whole. In an era defined by rigid social classes and ethnic divisions, this was a revolutionary thought. It directly attacks the primitive engine of tribalism. the us versus them mentality that fuels so much prejudice and conflict. When you see yourself as a citizen of the world, the stranger is no longer a threat. They become a fellow citizen of the same global polis, a person with their own struggles, dreams, and inherent dignity. This perspective does not require you to abandon love for your local community. Instead, it frames that love as a starting point, a practice ground for a broader, more inclusive compassion. It asks you to extend the same fundamental respect you would give a neighbor to someone on the other side of the planet, whose life and customs are entirely different from your own. Think about the last time you encountered a news story about a natural disaster in a distant country. The tribal mind might feel a flicker of sympathy, but it remains abstract, a problem for them. The cosmopolitan mind, trained by Seneca, sees it differently. It recognizes the shared vulnerability of the human condition. It feels a genuine sense of connection and a pull to help, however small the contribution, because we are all passengers on the same fragile planet. This mindset is a powerful antidote to the narrowness that limits our lives. It fosters a deep and genuine empathy, allowing you to step into another person's shoes even when their path looks nothing like your own. In our hyper-connected world, this quality is not just virtuous, it is magnetic. It allows you to navigate diverse social and professional landscapes with an effortless grace. You can converse meaningfully with someone from a different culture because you are genuinely curious, not condescending. You can understand a business partner's unique perspective because you are not trapped in a single, rigid way of thinking. This ability to connect across boundaries signals a mind that is both strong and highly evolved. It shows that your inner fortress has no drawbridge to pull up against the unfamiliar. Its gates are open, and that welcoming, confident presence attracts a stunning variety of people and opportunities into your life. The most turbulent court in history could not touch him. Seneca served as advisor to the Emperor Nero, a man whose descent into madness and tyranny created an atmosphere of constant fear and chaos. Surrounded by whispers of conspiracy, the ever-present threat of execution, and the capricious whims of a volatile ruler, Seneca produced some of his most timeless letters on tranquility and the good life. His secret was not a soundproof library or a remote retreat. It was an inner citadel, a mental fortress so well guarded that no external noise could breach its walls. He proved that the ultimate solitude is not found in an empty room, but in a mind trained to find stillness at its very center, regardless of the storm raging outside. You can build this same citadel in the middle of your own modern chaos: the noisy open office, the stressful family gathering, the crowded subway car. The first technique is a silent anchor, a focused breathing exercise you can deploy anywhere. When the noise and pressure begin to mount, shift your attention to the physical sensation of your breath. Do not try to change it, just observe it. Feel the cool air entering your nostrils, the slight expansion of your chest, the gentle release as you exhale. Count 10 breaths, one after the other. This simple act forces your nervous system to downshift from a state of high alert to a state of grounded presence. It pulls you out of the chaotic world and into the quiet reality of your own body, a space no one else can access. Another powerful method is the mental retreat. This is not escapism, it is a strategic reset. In a moment of overwhelm, close your eyes for just a few seconds if you can, or simply soften your gaze. In your mind, retreat to a pre-visualized place of perfect peace and safety. It might be a real memory of a quiet beach, the stillness of a mountain lake at dawn, or even the comforting familiarity of your childhood bedroom. The key is to engage all your senses in this brief mental vacation. Hear the gentle waves, feel the warm sun on your skin, smell the pine in the air. Immerse yourself in that feeling of safety for just 3 heartbeats. When you open your eyes, you carry a residue of that calm back into the chaotic room. And for those moments when you cannot close your eyes, arm yourself with a Stoic mantra, a short phrase you can repeat internally like a shield. this too shall pass. It is a simple, brutal, and liberating truth. The stressful meeting, the angry customer, the long line, none of it is permanent. By reminding yourself of the transient nature of all external events, you drain the immediate crisis of its power to define your entire reality. This ability to find a pocket of solitude in a crowd and peace in chaos is not a magic trick. It is the visible proof of a profound inner strength. It is the difference between being a thermometer, which simply reacts to the temperature of the room, and being a thermostat which sets its own. When people see you remain calm and centered while everyone else is losing their composure, they see a person who is not easily shaken, a person who possesses a deep, unassailable resilience. That quiet command in the midst of turmoil is not just strong, it is magnetic. That inner citadel of yours needs a constant supply of nourishment. Seneca saw the mind as a garden, and he warned that we must be as selective about what we plant there as a farmer is about his seeds. He advised against skimming countless books, chasing the latest popular titles just to say you have read them. Instead, he urged a deep and repeated reading of a few truly great works. The goal is not to collect information, but to undergo a transformation. When you consume quality literature, profound philosophy, and the hard-won lessons of history, you are not merely reading words. You are allowing the greatest minds of all time to become your personal mentors. You are inviting their wisdom, their perspective, and their fortitude to take root in your own consciousness. Think of it as strength training for your inner world. Just as lifting weights tears muscle fibers so they can rebuild stronger, grappling with a dense philosophical text or a complex historical narrative stretches your cognitive capacity. It forces you to think in new patterns, to hold conflicting ideas in your mind, and to see the world through a wider lens. This practice builds a rich and resilient mental landscape. When life presents you with a personal crisis, you are not facing it with only your own limited experience. You have the entire library of human thought to draw upon. You can ask yourself how a Stoic would face this loss, or what wisdom a great novelist might find in this heartbreak. This depth makes you a fascinating conversationalist, not because you can recite facts, but because you have a well of perspective to draw from. People are instinctively drawn to those who can see the bigger picture, who can connect a current event to a pattern in history, or who can offer a comforting insight from a timeless text. This intellectual richness is a quiet superpower. It means you are never truly bored or lonely because your inner world is a vibrant place to live. And when hard times come, that same well-stocked mind provides a deep reservoir of strength, reminding you that your struggles are part of the human story and that wisdom for navigating them is already waiting for you on the page. That rich inner world you cultivate is only ever experienced in one time and place, the eternal now. Seneca saw with piercing clarity how we rob ourselves of life's only true possession, the present moment. He wrote that the greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today. We are haunted by the ghosts of past mistakes, replaying conversations we wish had gone differently, clinging to old resentments that no longer serve us. At the same time, we are tormented by the phantoms of the future, anxiously anticipating problems that have not yet arrived and may never come to pass. In this divided state, we are absent from our own lives. We are physically in a room with a loved one, but mentally we are miles away worrying about a work deadline. We are eating a meal but cannot taste it because our mind is busy drafting a response to an old argument. This constant mental time travel is a form of self-abandonment. It drains the color from our reality and leaves us feeling perpetually exhausted and disconnected. The Stoic antidote is a radical return to the present, not as a vague spiritual concept, but as a practical discipline of attention. One powerful technique is to engage your senses with deliberate focus. Wherever you are, pause for just 30 seconds. Notice 5 things you can see, not just passively, but with real observation. The way light falls across a table, the specific color of the walls, Listen for 4 distinct sounds, perhaps the hum of a refrigerator or the distant sound of a bird. Feel 3 textures, the smooth surface of your phone, the fabric of your shirt against your skin. This simple exercise acts as an anchor, pulling your awareness out of the abstract world of thought and into the tangible reality of the here and now. Another practice is to fully immerse yourself in a single, simple task. The next time you wash a dish, do not just rush through it to get it done. Feel the warmth of the water on your hands, notice the slickness of the soap, and give your complete attention to the motion of cleaning. When you walk, feel the connection of your foot with the ground with each step. This is not about the dish or the walk, it is about training your mind to stop its frantic leaping and to rest in the current moment. The person who masters this presence undergoes a profound transformation. They become fully alive. In conversation, they are not just waiting for their turn to speak, they are truly listening, and people feel deeply heard and valued in their presence. They engage with their work and their passions with an intensity that is captivating because they are not diluted by regrets or fears. This vitality is incredibly attractive. It is the magnetism of a life being lived completely, without the baggage of yesterday or the shadow of tomorrow. It is the power of showing up for your own existence, moment by precious moment. Your reputation is a phantom you can never truly command. Seneca draws a final, liberating line in the sand between what we can build with absolute certainty and what we can only ever influence. You have complete sovereignty over your character, your intentions, and the virtuousness of your actions. These are your internal possessions, forged in the fire of your own choices. But your reputation, the mosaic of other people's thoughts, opinions, and gossip, exists entirely outside that fortress wall. It lives in the minds of others, and you have no direct access to that space. You cannot control their biases, their moods, their past experiences, or the rumors they might hear. Chasing a good reputation is like trying to catch the wind in a net, a frantic and utterly exhausting endeavor that scatters your energy to the 4 corners of the earth. This desperate need for approval is a deep crack in your inner foundation. It forces you to become a social chameleon, altering your colors to match whatever group you are with. You might laugh at a joke you find offensive, stay silent when you should speak up, or buy things you cannot afford, all to maintain a fragile image in the eyes of people whose own judgments are fickle and often flawed. This is the very definition of inauthenticity, and it drains your inner strength with every performance. The alternative is not to become rude or indifferent, but to shift your entire focus. Your sole mission becomes doing the right thing as your own virtues define it. Act with honesty, even when a lie would be more convenient. Act with courage, even if it means standing alone. Act with kindness, even if it goes unnoticed. Pour all of your energy into that internal work, and then, with a quiet mind, release the outcome. Let your reputation be what it may. This is not a recipe for social isolation. It is the discovery of a profound social freedom. When you are no longer performing for an audience, the real you finally gets to step into the light. The weight of constant self-monitoring vanishes. Your posture relaxes, your laughter becomes genuine, and your words carry the weight of someone who speaks their truth without apology. This unshackled confidence is a magnetic force. People are drawn to those who are not seeking validation because they offer the rare gift of a real connection. They are not mirrors reflecting back what you want to see. They are windows into a solid and self-possessed soul. This is the ultimate attraction, born from the courage to let the world think whatever it wants while you remain unshakably certain of who you are. This cosmic perspective dissolves the rigid boundaries of your individual ego. As you float there in your mind's eye, the lines on the map that separate nations begin to blur into irrelevance. The fierce rivalries between sports teams, the bitter office politics, the sharp words exchanged in a kitchen argument, all of it loses its urgent life or death intensity. You see yourself not as an isolated fortress under siege, but as a tiny, fleeting part of an incomprehensibly vast and ancient system. This is not meant to make you feel insignificant, but to reconnect you with your true significance as a conscious participant in the grand story of the universe. Your personal drama, while deeply important to you, is a single thread in an infinite tapestry. This realization is the very essence of humility, the quiet understanding that the world was not designed to cater to your personal comfort. The practice of the view from above is a direct counter to the anxiety that whispers your problems are unique, permanent, and all-consuming. It proves to you in a visceral way that they are not. You can use this tool anytime you feel the walls closing in. Stuck in a traffic jam that is making you late for an important meeting, close your eyes for a moment and zoom out. See your car as one small red taillight in a long river of metal, all of you flowing together. Pull back further and see the entire city grid, with millions of other souls navigating their own tiny crises and triumphs. From there, the traffic jam is just a slight congestion in one tiny artery of a living planet. The frantic urgency simply melts away, replaced by a patient calm. This mental strength does not make you cold or detached. It makes you a stable and grounded presence in a world of constant flux. When others are swept up in panic over a minor setback, you retain that cosmic view. You can offer comfort without being consumed by the chaos yourself. Your ability to remain steady, to see the bigger picture when everyone else is fixated on the single troubling pixel, is a form of quiet leadership. It tells everyone around you that the situation is manageable, that this too is just a moment in time. That unwavering stability, born from the stars themselves, is a profoundly attractive and reassuring force. This cosmic view brings your life into a quiet focus, revealing what truly matters on the human scale. The 24th lesson from Seneca brings us back down to earth, to the profound power of a true friend. He saw friendship not as a casual social convenience, but as the most sacred of partnerships, a shared workshop for building a virtuous life. A real friend, in Seneca's eyes, is a living mirror held up to your soul. They do not simply reflect back what you want to see. They have the courage to show you your blind spots, your inconsistencies, the gaps between your stated values and your actual behaviors. This is not about criticism, it is about a shared commitment to growth. You do the same for them, creating a dynamic where both of you are constantly being polished, refined, and called to be your best possible selves. This stands in stark contrast to the modern, often transactional, relationships we so often confuse for friendship. The networking contact you maintain for potential career advantage is not a friendship, it is a strategic alliance. The person you only spend time with because they are convenient or fun, but who you could never call in a moment of real crisis, is a companion, not a confidant. These connections are built on a fragile foundation of mutual usefulness or shared circumstance, and they dissolve the moment that utility or circumstance changes. Cultivating a Senecan friendship requires a brave and deliberate vulnerability. It means having the difficult conversation, not avoiding it. It means admitting your own faults and failures to another person, trusting that they will not use that knowledge against you, but will instead help you shoulder the burden. It demands a radical honesty, where you can tell your friend a hard truth because you love them too much to watch them stray from their own path. It is a conscious choice to invest in a shared journey of growth, where your victories are sweeter because they are celebrated together, and your setbacks are lighter because they are borne by two. These rare and profound bonds become a primary wellspring of both strength and joy. They are a sanctuary where you can be fully yourself without pretense or performance. To be a person capable of this depth of connection is to possess one of the most attractive qualities imaginable. It signals an emotional maturity and a generous spirit that draws other high-quality people toward you. It proves you are not just looking for someone to use, but for a partner to build with. And in a world full of surface-level connections, the person who offers genuine, unwavering, and virtuous partnership shines like a beacon. The final lesson from Seneca is the one that binds all the others together, the master key to this entire system of inner strength. For him, philosophy was never a dry subject for dusty lecture halls. It was a living medicine for the soul. Its purpose is not to fill your head with abstract theories, but to actively heal the wounds inflicted by life, to soothe the chronic ailments of anxiety, anger, and discontent. Think of the previous 24 lessons not as isolated tips, but as the individual ingredients in a single, powerful prescription. The daily practice of separating what is within your control from what is not, that is the anti-inflammatory that reduces the swelling of your reactive emotions. The embrace of voluntary hardship, that is the bitter tonic that strengthens your resilience against future shocks. The meticulous guardianship of your time, that is the nutrient that feeds your growth and purpose. Each exercise, from the evening review to the practice of negative visualization, is a deliberate dose of treatment administered to a specific weakness in your character. This medicine works by applying the cool compress of reason to the fever of destructive passion. It clarifies your judgments, stripping away the distorted stories we tell ourselves about events and revealing them for what they are, neither good nor bad, but simply material for our virtue. It realigns your actions with your true nature, which is not to be a slave to external validation or fleeting pleasure, but to live a life of purpose, integrity, and connection. This is not a one-time cure. It is a lifelong regimen of self-betterment, a daily commitment to showing up for your own soul's health with the same diligence you would give to your physical body. The unshakable inner strength we have been exploring is not a personality trait you are born with. It is the direct result of this consistent, therapeutic work. And the genuine, magnetic attraction that follows is not a technique you perform. It is the natural radiance of a soul that is no longer at war with itself, a person who has been healed from the inside out and has become a source of that same profound peace for everyone they meet. Recall that pounding heart before the difficult conversation, the knot of dread in your stomach, those moments where the world feels too loud and your confidence feels so fragile. We began there, and now we have traveled through a complete system for transforming that reality. These 25 lessons from Seneca are not a collection of quick fixes or social tricks. They are a single, interlocking blueprint for the most important construction project you will ever undertake, the building of your inner citadel. Inner strength and the magnetic attraction that flows from it are not about learning to manipulate others. They are the natural byproducts of a character forged in honesty, resilience, and virtue. This is the hard, daily work of aligning your actions with your principles, of choosing your response over reacting to every stimulus, of finding profound wealth in the simplicity of your own mind. It is a journey that demands everything from you, and in return, it offers the one thing we all truly seek, an unshakable peace. You do not need to master all of this at once. The path forward is not overwhelming if you take just one single step. Pick one lesson that resonated most deeply with you this week. Perhaps it is the simple act of drawing that line each night, separating what is within your control from what is not. Maybe it is the decision to embrace a small voluntary hardship, like a cold shower or a day of fasting, to prove your own resilience to yourself. It could be the commitment to guard your time with ruthless intention, reclaiming just 1 hour a week for something that truly builds you up. Start there, practice that one thing until it becomes a part of you. The philosophy is here, the ball is now in your court. Go build your inner citadel. Let us know in the comments which single lesson you are choosing to start with today.